All right, so you've been sending me a ton of research on this whole gray hair thing.
Yeah,
Seems like you're looking for answers here.
absolutely.
More than just, like a quick fix or a temporary solution.
Yeah.
You want to understand the why, what you can actually do about it.
Right.
So let's dive into it.
Sounds good.
Let's really get to the bottom of this gray hair mystery that you've been digging into.
Yeah, I think a lot of times we kind of just simplify gray hair as like just a sign of aging.
Right, right.
But it seems like your research is showing that it's way more
Yes.
complex than that,
Yeah.
and that there are potentially things that we
Well,
can control when it comes to gray hair.
that's what I'm really curious about is the control aspect of it. But
Right.
before we get ahead of ourselves, let's kind of break down some of the basics.
Yeah, for sure.
I see that you've got a lot of research on melanocytes.
Yes.
Those are the pigment-producing cells.
Yes. So melanocytes are key players here.
Uh-huh.
They're like little factories in our hair follicles that are just churning out melanin, which is the pigment that gives our hair its color.
Hmm.
And as we age, these little factories can slow down
Okay.
or even completely shut down.
Oh, wow.
And that leads to less melanin and more
Yeah.
gray or white hair.
So it's like the production line isn't as efficient over time.
Exactly.
Got it. But, your research also talks about the two different types of graying,
Right.
age-related and premature.
Yes.
So what's the difference there?
So age-related graying, that's like the natural process
Okay.
that's heavily influenced by our genes.
Uh,
Pretty much everyone's going to experience that eventually.
Got it.
Premature graying, though, that's
Yeah.
significant graying before the age of 40.
Okay.
And that often points to lifestyle and environmental factors that are kind of speeding up that process.
And that's where things get interesting.
Yeah.
Because if lifestyle is playing a role, then there's potential for intervention. I mean, you even sent over some research on epigenetics,
Yes.
which is the idea that our environment can influence how our genes express themselves.
Exactly. It's not all predetermined.
Right.
Epigenetics is really suggesting that we're not just passive passengers
Yep.
on this aging journey.
Mm-hmm.
We can actually make choices that impact how our genes function,
Okay.
including those that are related to
Oh.
hair pigmentation.
So that's empowering
It is.
to know that even if you have a genetic predisposition for early graying,
Right.
there might be ways to,
Yeah.
slow things down or even reverse the process.
Potentially.
But before we kind of jump into solutions,
Yeah.
let's unpack some of the culprits behind premature graying.
Okay.
You flagged oxidative stress as a major player here.
Oxidative stress is a big one.
Okay.
It's essentially an imbalance between free radicals,
Uh-huh.
those unstable molecules that can damage cells,
Okay.
and antioxidants, which protect against that damage.
Right.
And so when there are too many free radicals attacking our cells,
Yeah.
including those precious melanocytes,
Right.
that can speed up the graying process.
So it's almost like these free radicals are these little gremlins
Yeah,
wreaking havoc in our hair follicles,
exactly.
and the antioxidants are like the peacekeepers trying to,
Yes.
keep
Maintain.
order,
Yeah.
everything in order.
Yes.
You've highlighted the importance of a diet rich in antioxidants
Yes.
to kind of combat this.
Absolutely. Foods packed with antioxidants,
Uh-huh.
like colorful fruits and vegetables,
Yeah.
can help to neutralize those free radicals.
Awesome. And you've also dug up some research on specific supplements like glutathione and alpha-lipoic acid.
Yes, those are some interesting ones.
Now, they're not just your generic antioxidants, right?
Right.
They have kind of specific mechanisms for protecting against damage.
Exactly. So glutathione is a powerful antioxidant that's naturally produced by our bodies.
Okay.
It plays a really crucial role in detoxifying cells and neutralizing harmful substances, including those that can damage melanocytes.
Interesting.
And then alpha-lipoic acid is another potent antioxidant,
Yeah.
and it can actually regenerate other antioxidants,
Oh, wow.
like vitamin C and E.
Okay.
So it's kind of amplifying their effects.
So it's like a tag team effort against those free radical gremlins.
Exactly.
Awesome. But I'm also seeing in your research that it's not just about external damage, right?
Right.
It's also about what we're putting into our bodies,
Yes.
specifically certain nutrients.
You're talking about nutritional deficiencies,
Yeah.
which can definitely contribute to premature graying.
Okay.
And your research points to copper, vitamin B12, and vitamin D as being particularly important
Okay.
for melanin production.
It makes sense that our bodies would need the right building blocks to be able to produce that pigment.
Right.
But instead of everybody rushing out to buy supplements, are there ways to tell
That's a good question.
if you're actually deficient?
Yeah, so blood tests can be helpful,
Okay.
but you're right, they're not always accessible or affordable. Right.
Some nutritional deficiencies might manifest in other ways,
Correct.
like fatigue for B12 deficiency
Mm-hmm.
or hair loss and brittle nails
Right.
for insufficient copper.
Interesting.
Of course, a well-balanced diet,
Yeah. Right.
rich in diverse fruits and vegetables,
Mm.
and lean protein can go a long way in preventing these deficiencies.
Okay. So it's a combination of smart food choices
Yes,
and being mindful of those potential deficiency signs.
exactly.
But you've also highlighted a factor that's less about what we're consuming
Right.
and more about our internal state, which is stress.
You're right. Chronic stress and the inflammation that it triggers
Okay.
can also accelerate premature graying. It's
Yeah.
like the body is in constant fight or flight mode,
Yeah.
and it diverts resources away from processes like
Got it.
hair pigmentation.
That mind-body connection is fascinating and a little bit scary.
It is.
So it's not just what we eat and what we avoid.
Right.
It's also about managing that stress through things like exercise.
Meditation, spending time in nature.
Exactly. Those activities can help regulate our stress response
Yeah.
and reduce inflammation, which
Yeah.
potentially benefits our hair health.
So we've covered a lot of ground already,
We have.
from those pesky free radicals and the crucial nutrients
Yeah.
to the impact of stress on our hair.
Right.
I know the burning question is, can we actually reverse the graying process?
Yes.
Or is it all about prevention?
Right.
Let's get into that in part 2 of this deep dive.
Sounds good. Now, when it comes to reversing gray hair, it's a bit like venturing into uncharted territory.
Okay.
There's a lot of excitement out there and some
Uh-huh.
promising research,
Yeah.
but we need to approach it with a healthy dose of scientific caution.
So you're saying it's not a guaranteed outcome for everyone, but there's enough evidence to warrant exploration.
Exactly.
What I'm really curious about is the science behind this possibility.
Right.
You sent over some research on how certain interventions might actually stimulate the regrowth of pigmented hair.
Yeah, your research highlights some fascinating avenues for tackling this.
Okay.
Remember those melanocyte stem cells we talked about?
Yeah.
The ones responsible for melanin production?
Right.
As we age, they can become dormant or depleted, and the goal is to kind of wake them up
Right.
and get them producing melanin again.
So it's like jump-starting those little pigment factories.
Yeah, exactly.
What are some of the approaches that you found in your research?
So one approach targets the excess hydrogen peroxide
Okay.
that builds up in hair follicles,
Uh-huh.
which we know can interfere with melanin production.
Right.
And you highlighted research on topical creams containing pseudocatalase.
I remember reading about that pseudocatalase is an enzyme that breaks down hydrogen peroxide, right?
Yes, exactly.
So by applying it topically, the idea is to reduce those levels of hydrogen peroxide directly in the hair follicle. Create a more favorable environment for melanin production.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not just about neutralizing the bad stuff. It's also about potentially boosting the good stuff.
Okay.
You've got some research on peptides,
Yeah.
specifically KDPT,
Okay.
which is derived from black pepper.
Hold on, black pepper.
Yeah.
The same spice I use in my cooking.
Yes.
I never would have guessed it had a connection to hair pigmentation.
It sounds surprising, but research suggests that this KDPT peptide can actually stimulate the activity of those melanocyte stem cells,
Wow.
leading to increased melanin production.
Interesting.
And there are other peptides being studied as well,
Okay.
like those derived from lactoferrin,
Okay.
a protein found in milk.
So we're talking topical creams, black pepper, peptides, milk-derived proteins.
Let's try that first.
It's a pretty diverse arsenal.
Yeah.
But I'm also thinking back to the nutritional deficiencies that we talked about earlier.
Right.
Do they play a role in reversing graying too?
Absolutely. Addressing any underlying deficiencies is crucial for supporting healthy hair growth
Okay.
and pigmentation.
Okay.
Copper, for example, is essential for the enzyme tyrosinase, which plays a key role in melanin production. So ensuring adequate copper intake through diet or supplementation could potentially support that repigmentation process.
And I remember you mentioning B vitamins, particularly B12 being important for healthy hair growth.
Yes.
Could a deficiency there also contribute to graying?
B vitamins are crucial for cell metabolism and energy production,
Okay.
processes that are essential for healthy hair follicles
Yeah.
and melanin synthesis.
Right.
And we can't forget about vitamin D,
Right.
which is involved in regulating cell growth and differentiation,
Yeah.
including the activity of those all-important melanocytes stem cells.
It seems like there are a lot of potential factors that could contribute to graying.
Right.
And addressing each of them might be part of like a comprehensive solution.
Exactly.
But the real question is, does this actually work?
Right.
Are there real-life examples of people reversing their gray hair?
That's the key question. And while the research is still in its early stages,
Okay.
there are some anecdotal reports and small-scale studies that offer a glimmer of hope.
Okay.
You shared a fascinating case study from 2016 about a woman who experienced repigmentation of previously gray hairs after undergoing treatment for hypothyroidism.
That's remarkable. Just addressing a hormonal imbalance led to a visible change in hair color.
It is.
It really highlights how interconnected our body systems are.
Right.
And how seemingly unrelated factors can have this ripple effect.
Yes.
You also sent over research on Marie Antoinette syndrome.
Yeah.
Where hair suddenly turns white, often due to extreme stress.
Marie Antoinette syndrome is a fascinating phenomenon.
Yeah.
Though quite rare.
Okay.
What's interesting is that in some cases, this sudden whitening has been known to reverse once the stressor is removed.
Interesting.
Suggesting that the melanocytes haven't been permanently damaged, but rather have gone into kind of a dormant state.
So it's like they're just in hibernation waiting for the right conditions to reactivate. It makes you wonder if there are other ways to kind of wake them up besides removing the stressor.
Exactly. This is where further research is crucial.
Yeah.
We need to understand the specific mechanisms at play and how we can potentially manipulate them to stimulate repigmentation.
It sounds like there's a lot of potential here.
There is.
But I imagine there are also some important caveats to consider.
Yes.
What are some of the things we need to keep in mind as we kind of explore these possibilities?
First and foremost, it's important to remember that much of the research on reversing gray hair is still preliminary.
Okay.
We need more rigorous studies to confirm the effectiveness of these different approaches.
So it's not a guaranteed quick fix.
No.
But the early findings are definitely intriguing.
They are.
Yeah. And it's important to manage expectations.
Yes.
Reversing gray hair, if it's possible, is likely a multifaceted process.
Right.
That requires a personalized approach.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not as simple as popping a pill.
Right.
Or using a single cream. It might involve addressing nutritional deficiencies, managing stress levels, incorporating specific foods and supplements, and potentially even exploring those topical treatments that we discussed.
So it's about creating the optimal environment for those melanocytes to thrive.
Right.
And that probably takes time, consistency, and a bit of experimentation to find what works best for each individual.
You hit the nail on the head.
And as with any health-related decision, it's always wise to consult with a healthcare professional.
Absolutely.
Before embarking on any new treatments or making significant changes to your diet or lifestyle.
For sure.
This is all incredibly fascinating.
It is.
We've explored the science behind gray hair.
Yes.
The potential culprits behind premature graying.
Right.
And even some cutting-edge research on potential reversal strategies.
Yeah.
But you've also included some articles on the cultural and societal perceptions of gray hair.
Yes.
Which seems like a whole other dimension to this topic.
Right.
It's amazing how gray hair seems to carry so much weight culturally.
Yeah.
You know?
It really does.
In some societies, it's a symbol of wisdom and respect, and in others, it's seen as something to hide or disguise.
Yeah.
And you've sent over some really interesting articles exploring these different perceptions.
It is fascinating how those perceptions have varied across cultures and throughout history, too.
Yeah.
Your research highlights how in ancient Greece and Rome, gray hair was actually considered a mark of beauty and authority.
Really?
Think about all those statues of Greek gods and goddesses with their flowing silver locks.
Right.
That wasn't just artistic license. It reflected a real admiration for gray hair.
It seems like that reverence for gray hair still exists in some cultures today.
Yeah.
You mentioned how in many Eastern cultures, elders are often looked to for guidance and wisdom. And their gray hair is seen as a symbol of their experience.
Right. It's a stark contrast to the prevailing attitude in many Western cultures, where youthfulness is often prized above all else.
Right.
And gray hair can be seen as a sign of decline.
It's almost like we've been conditioned to fear those silver strands.
Yeah.
But I'm also noticing a shift in recent years. There's a growing movement of people embracing their natural gray hair.
Yes.
Seeing it as a sign of authenticity and self-acceptance.
Right. It's a powerful statement.
Yeah.
Rejecting those societal pressures to conform to a certain standard of beauty. It's about owning your age and celebrating the journey.
Right.
Gray hairs and all.
You know, and after diving into all this research on the science of gray hair,
Yeah.
I'm starting to see those silver strands in a whole new light.
Yeah.
It's not just about aesthetics anymore.
Right.
It's almost like our hair is trying to tell us something about our health.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
We've talked about how premature graying can be triggered by oxidative stress,
Yeah.
nutritional deficiencies,
Hmm.
hormonal imbalances.
Yeah.
It's like our hair is giving us clues about what's happening inside our bodies.
Yeah.
It is. It's like a little signal.
Exactly. Instead of just covering up those grays,
Yeah.
maybe we should be paying attention to what they're trying to tell us.
Right.
By addressing those underlying issues, we're not just potentially changing our hair color,
Right.
we're investing in our overall well-being.
It's a powerful shift in perspective.
It is.
It's not about desperately clinging to youth,
Yeah.
but rather embracing each stage of life with a focus on health and vitality.
Right.
And who knows, maybe by taking care of ourselves from the inside out,
Yeah.
we might even see those grays start to recede naturally.
Or maybe we learn to love them for what they are, a sign of resilience experience and a life well lived.
That's a great way to look at it.
It's like those silver strands become a badge of honor,
Yeah.
a reminder of all we've been through and all that's still to come.
I love that.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of gray hair,
Yeah.
I'm left with a sense of curiosity and empowerment.
I think that's a great takeaway.
There's so much we can learn from those silver strands,
Absolutely.
both about ourselves and about this fascinating interplay of science, culture, and perception.
It really is fascinating.
What started as a quest to understand gray hair has turned into a journey of self-discovery.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see where it leads. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.